In earlier versions of Joomla, changing the standard footer text would be confusing at best, or painfully difficult at worst, for new Joomla users. It has since improved greatly, but it's still not very straightforward. The Joomla developers chose to build a special module for the footer. This allows them to display the default footer text in multiple languages automatically. While this is nice from a developer's point of view, it doesn't work too well for people that are building a site in just one language. The complexity of supporting multiple languages has made it more complex to change for average Joomla users. There are two major ways to change this text, and we'll cover both of them now. The first way is the way recommended by Joomla developers. We think it is the more difficult of the two ways. This involves going into the individual language files and changing the text with a text editor. To do this, you will need a file transfer program that is compatible with your hosting provider. You will be transferring a file to your computer, making a small change, and then uploading the file again to the proper location. We will be demonstrating this with one file transfer program. Please remember, your screen will certainly vary if you must use a different one. First, we connect to our hosting server and browse the root folder of our Joomla installation. From here, the folder paths should be the same for any Joomla installation. From the Joomla root folder, we can see that there is a languages folder. If you drill down into this, you will see that there are files for all of the languages for your Joomla installation. For this site, we use ENGB, which stands for English Great Britain. Other locales will use other languages. If you drill down into the appropriate language folder, you will see many files for many Joomla components. Please note this for the future. If you don't like the text Joomla uses for a built-in function, you can change many of the options here. Components are supposed to use these files to store their display text. Not every component developer follows this rule, but most do. You can modify quite a few default messages by visiting this folder and changing these files. So for the footer, the file that we want is the engb.mod_footer.ini. Let's download this file to a local folder. If you have the choice in your file transfer program, you should choose a text download instead of a binary one. It's critically important that you use a plain text editor. On Windows, you can use Notepad. On Mac, you can use TextEdit. A word processing program or other more complex application may not let you save the file as plain text. Now that we have the file open, we can see that it contains the technical parameters for displaying the footer text. Let's break down the first footer line. The footer line 1 parameter contains a basic copyright message. Here, this ampersand code is simply what's called the HTML entity code for the copyright symbol or circle with a C embedded in it. The two variables enclosed in percent symbols are special variables that will be replaced with text when the page is actually loaded. You can use them here or remove them. It's your choice. You may actually put anything you like in this line. While we all love Joomla, we may not necessarily want to provide a backlink to joomla.org on every page of our site. You are not required to do this for any reason and, at least in the case of Google, will slightly dilute the search engine ranking that you're able to pass to other pages on your site. We'll talk more about this when we discuss SEO in detail, so don't sweat it too much. Usually, we simply remove all of the text from the second line. To do this, just delete all of the text after the equals sign for the footer line 2 parameter. You will have no issues leaving this parameter blank. So, that's all you need to do to modify this file. Now, save the file to your hard drive as a plain text file. Some editors will call this a TXT file. If you have the option to choose, you should pick Unix, Linux, or Mac style TXT file. Make sure the file name is exactly the same as the one that you previously downloaded. Now, we will go into our file transfer program and upload the file. Before we do that, we always want to make a backup copy of the file on the hosting server. any small errors made in editing Joomla internal files often lead to a long and painful debugging process. It's best to make a backup of any file you are modifying. So, make a backup copy of the file using your file transfer program and then upload the new one. Be sure to use the text upload option instead of the binary one if your program allows you to choose. Once the file is uploaded, the change will be immediate. So let's have a look. Here, we can see the footer text has changed. The second method for changing the Joomla footer text may appeal to other users while allowing for much richer formatting options. Most templates provide a footer position for modules. Here's how to take advantage of this to build a custom footer module. Go to the Module Manager. Here you can see the footer module is enabled. This uses the built-in footer component which sources its content from language files. We will simply disable the module and create a new one to take its place. Click New. Now, click on the Custom HTML module. Choose the footer position. Other templates may have additional positions at the bottom of the page, so it's worth checking the preview first. For our template, we will use the footer position. Now you can simply use the built-in editor to add the footer content. We can easily style the text as we like, insert icons, images, and so on. Now, let's apply these changes and have a look. As you can see, the standard footer module has disappeared and has been replaced with our custom HTML module. While we lose the ability to automatically translate the footer into other languages and use automatic variables for the date and site name, we gain much more flexibility and do not need to edit any configuration files manually. If you're comfortable with those limitations, this is the easiest method for managing the footer content.